welcome to the Sunday edition of the Next Level Podcast. I'm Tim Miller here with my best friend, Sarah Longwell, and her aspiring best lesbian friend, our guest today, Jane Lynch.
Oh my God,
Jane,
so great.
Yeah, so good. If you don't know Jane, she was Sue Sylvester in Glee, obviously. She's in the show Only Murders in the Building and Party Down on Right Now. She's had an amazing career. She's also like this big Never Trump political stan and used to tweet a lot about it. She might be getting off Twitter a little bit. Sarah, what'd you think? How was the interview?
Well, it was amazing for me. I had to trade JVL 2 other episodes in order to get the Jane Lynch episode, which I desperately wanted because as we discussed in the show, she was also on the L Word, which was very formative for me. I love Jane Lynch so much. And you tried to like hoard her as your friend when she got into her Never Trump phase and she was talking to you, but then she started to DM me and I found out that she listens to The Secret. She listens to The Next Level. She listens to Charlie every day. And so it was just what a thrill.
It was a thrill, but I did have the most mortifying moment of my life, which you guys have to stay for, which was we discovered for years I'd had bad dreams, not years, but months I had bad dreams and fretted about a typo in the book. And I only had one typo that I'd learned about, and I learned about another typo live with Jane Lynch, which was, in her blurb. There was a typo in her blurb. I was reading her blurb to her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that was a typo." What she had sent. I didn't do her justice. She blurbed my book, and then we didn't do it right. Anyway, we're fixing it for the paperback. Listen to the whole interview. It's going to be great. 2 other things really quick. I feel like we've had 2 actors now. We have some other interesting people coming from other realms of life here in the next few weeks. You're going to love it on the Sunday show. But if you've been loving the Hollywood episodes, Sunny Bunch, has a culture vertical here. Across the Movie Aisle is a great podcast. Bulwark Goes to Hollywood, a newsletter and a podcast. Check that out if you haven't already. But as is our tradition here, we want to do a little bit of politics on the top before we get to the interview. I will tell you, Jane wanted to talk a lot about politics. So we'll keep this tight because there's plenty of politics in this interview. Jane wanted to quiz us at the end, so plenty of politics. But Sarah, I wanted to get your take on 2 things. You were maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, you were maybe a little less radical than I was in your loathing and hatred of the Don't Say Gay bill. Maybe as you hated it, but you were maybe a little bit more nuanced. Let's say nuanced in your loathing than I was, sure. I think. And what we've seen now, I don't know if you've seen this, that now we are going up to K-12. Florida's expanding this to K-12. Meanwhile, also in Florida, in Charlie Sykes' amazing newsletter this Friday morning, Morning Shots, go read it. There's a principal in Florida who was fired this week for showing 6th graders Michelangelo's The David. This is a Simpsons episode come to life. The little penis, the little stone penis, fired over it. And so I want kind of an updated, I want to put a quarter in the machine and get an updated Sarah take about concerns about the DeSantis education regime as we get more and more facts coming to the table.
Well, let me just say as a background, I think my more nuanced take, which I think all my takes are more nuanced than yours, but we'll just leave that aside for a second. But I think my thing was that with the Don't Say Gay bill, you could sort of drive a truck through the word instruction, right? Like the way that they talk about it sounds normal to anybody who says like, yes, I do not think we should be instructing, kindergartners on non-binary, gay, whatever. Okay. The question is like, is anything a teacher says instruction? And we were not going to find that out until we were ensconced in litigation and there's more definition around what instruction means. And before we've really gotten that definition now, though, we're expanding it because, Ron DeSantis is now in a Republican primary where Nikki Haley is accusing him of not going far enough. She would go to 5th grade with her Don't Say Gay version. And then Ron DeSantis is like, no, we're going to take it up until, up until senior year, which, by the way, at this point, people are in relationships and like, right. This is bananas. But the thing about the David thing that is just wild is this is a school that the parents had sent their kids to explicitly because it was some kind of specific kind of education, like a classical
it was like
artsy
Hillsdale.
education.
It's a Hillsdale classical education.
Yeah. So I think that the wokeism might be jumping the shark. I would say it's jumping the David, and this is where it all goes too far. And maybe there might actually be some backlash here because this is asinine.
Yeah, it's deeply concerning. We have a lot more ahead on gay stuff, on politics with Jane Lynch. You're going to really enjoy it. We'll be back on Wednesday with JVL for our weekly Next Level, and catch you then. Hey, Jane. Thank you so much for doing this. You have no idea how excited we are. I'm so excited I wore the same exact sweater that you did.
I know, we're a study in cream. And then Sarah, of course, had to throw in some pink and some blue to throw the whole palette off, but that's okay.
It's really disappointing.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So usually, I'm new to this interviewing game, but my understanding is usually you're supposed to like butter up the guest with the first interview, kind of warm them up. No, I'm gonna butter up the host instead. Just kind of a little change of pace.
Me?
Yeah, the host. We're gonna butter up the host. One thing I've noticed, you seem to have like this affection for Never Trumpers. You're like you're reading the Bulwark, you're tweeting the Lincoln Project, you're talking to Willie Geist about how much you love Tom Nichols in a way that I was a little bit jealous of. Actually, it hurt my feelings a little bit. But what is it? You. Yeah, what is your Never Trump? Are you a moderate Dem, or do you just love our conversion story, or is it my handsomeness? Like, what is it?
Yeah, well, it's all of those things, really. Probably up at the top is your handsomeness, but I would say that everybody, you guys are making sense, and there's so much in this world that doesn't make sense. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Jamie Raskin, and I love Schiff, and
Shifty
people
Schiff?
Shifty Schiff with the pencil neck. I love him. I love a lot of Democrats, but the Democratic Party just is ineffective. And I think when all is told, when the story is written, they're going to be seen as the great enablers who just were, like Bannon said, just flood the zone. And he's absolutely right. You flood the zone and everybody just falls apart. It's not about willingness. It's the ability to mount a defense, because this has been an attack. As you know, you left the Republican Party to mount your own attack, and I do love a redemption story. But the more what I will say this though, I was in a tribe, and this is something that I've come to learn about myself and about humanity on Twitter. We love being in a tribe, and sometimes we get so inoculated into the what's opposite of the tribe that sometimes we don't even believe what the whole tribe thinks. Like this whole thing about vaccination and masking, and I'm all for them, but people going crazy about that stuff. And then on the other side, people going, so many people died because they were in a tribe. They didn't want to. I think it's that whole. It's a cult. It's a cultishness that we're all prone to as humans. I think.
Not us. We just formed like a tiny little tribe with ourselves, like the Never Trumpers. But you're saying that you think we were effectual in a way that the Democrats aren't. Is that the great thing I'm taking from what you said?
Yes, that's a wonderful thing you're taking, and it's absolutely true. And I wish that I had how you have those kind of Sorkin-esque fantasies. I thought, what if like the Bulwark and the Lincoln Project, meet? I bet they're meeting with the DNC, and together they're coming up with this plan, and that Rick Wilson's going to write the ads, and that didn't happen. I really thought that perhaps would happen, and it didn't. Like, they're not asking you for advice, are they? The DNC.
I'm not getting a lot of calls.
No.
Are you getting, Sarah? You got a couple more calls than me, I think. Do you get some calls?
I think some people, they listen, but I wouldn't say that we are out of tribe. And we will sort of always be, and there's I think they're interested in what we're saying, and occasionally might gut check a thing or two, but generally speaking, they
can
do
I
not
just give an
see us
example of that? I don't know about you, Sarah, but I invited myself to the White House one time since Joe Biden has won, which I was really grateful of. But I haven't been invited. We haven't had any secret meetings. I'm not begging to be invited. A lot of our your Sorkinian fantasy is the nightmare of a lot of our old Republican folks who think that like we did this because we want to be invited to the state dinners and the Georgetown cocktail. And I wouldn't mind going to a state dinner, but I don't. My phone. I don't know if anybody at the White House is listening to this, and I'm sure a couple of you are. I wouldn't mind getting invited to one sometime, but I've yet to be. We don't have strategy sessions. We're just out here, just like doing our deal.
And the thing is what's great about y'all is that we won Joe Biden was elected because of you guys, and kind of that offensive that the Never Trumpers mounted. That I think that was a lot that pushed people over the edge.
You mean Republican voters against Trump?
Yes. Just like the cup you're sipping. Exactly.
Do you
exactly. Exactly.
do you have any of those people in your life? Do you have and you're from Chicago, so it's kind of a blue area. Do you have like Republican types in your life? Other folks
Not
who've
that I
made our
know
journey?
of. I have suspicions about a couple of people in my family, but they probably wouldn't say anything. I don't know anybody, talk about tribal. I don't know anybody who voted for Trump or
You're
is
in your
even
Montecito bubble.
yeah, exactly.
You
well, I was in LA
more
before
Jill Stein
this.
voters. You know more Jill Stein voters than
Well, this
Mitt
is Montecito is a Republican area. It's a lot of it's old money. It's old people with old money. People come here to retire. That's one of the reasons my wife and I came here is because we wanted to feel young again. And
nice.
we're definitely we walk down the street and we're definitely the youngest. But boy, these people are fit and they're wealthy and they used to be Republicans, but there were a lot of signs at houses, anything but Trump, vote for Biden. Just let's vote for a grown-up. This one person had in front of their house. Let's vote for the grown-up.
Well, I want to get into some. I have a couple political questions for you before we get to the fun stuff, but I do just want to compliment myself one more time. I will say that you wrote that my book was your balm of Gilead.
Gilead.
I have to tell
Balm of Gilead.
I have to tell you, I didn't even know what that
of
was.
Gilead. Let me
I didn't
tell
even
you,
know what
because
that was. I was so excited. I was like, I'm putting this on the book. It seems smart, but I was like,
does,
is
and
this
also,
biblical?
It's
Where did you
balm
come up with
in
that?
Gilead. The preposition was incorrect on the book. It's balm. You're my balm in Gilead. B-A-L-M is like your salve, your that which calms you and soothes you. And Gilead
Like
was
lip balm.
Yeah, like lip balm when you have chapped lips.
What is that a reference to? Is that a?
Well, Gilead is a town in the Bible. It's referenced in the Bible, and it's where what is it? Gomorrah. It's kind of like what's the other one? Something in
Sodom.
Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
I know
knows
a lot
that
about
one.
Sodom.
Tim knows that one.
There you go. Good. Well, it's like the next town over. Gilead is. So it's kind of like a dark place, like a hellish place.
So
and
it's
you're
not
my
like a
balm in
lesbian
Gilead.
thing or like a musical thing I'm missing. It's
No.
just like a
In fact,
biblical-
there's a play called Balm in Gilead that the great Steppenwolf Theater Company did a production of. Lanford Wilson, I believe, is the playwright, and it went to New York, and it was a big hit, and Laurie Metcalf was the star, and it was wonderful. So
I
it's the
love
name
Laurie
of a play.
Metcalf.
Yeah, she's wonderful. The play is called Balm in Gilead. Yeah, she's
well, I'm honored to be your bomb. So we're here. It's 12:12 on Tuesday. We're taping this. It's going to air on Sunday. We're just praying that between now and Sunday we might get the mugshot of our dreams. Or at least I'm praying. I don't know where Sarah is. I would love to take your ladies' take. What's your level of anticipation? Are you nervous about it? Are you excited? Do you have champagne on ice? Where do you stand right now on the possibility of a mugshot?
Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, he's asked. I assumed you were
Ladies.
asking our guest, but I will.
Both.
Okay. I am a little disappointed. This is very conventional wisdom, but disappointed that we're going to get the weakest case first. I think we've been set up for a very annoying week here with a lot of people talking about the ticky-tacky charges of the porn star. It's one that can be easily dismissed and kind of laughed out when, of course, the, incitement to insurrection, the telling the Secretary of State of Georgia to find votes. Like, there's a much more significant indictments, I think, to come. And to start out with this one is not my favorite.
And
That's
if
a downer.
indicted alone with just this charge, it's only a misdemeanor. It's not even a felony. It has to be coupled with other charges. So we don't know right now if it'll be a felony. It might just be a misdemeanor.
What about just let's set all that aside for a second and just kind of appreciate for a moment, just like the mugshot. Just like when you think about the mugshot, does that at least bring you a little joy? Can you separate your punditry from the mugshot joy, or no?
I think because this guy just turns everything around, it's going to be a full tooth smile.
It is with the thumbs up.
And with the thumbs up, and people are going to get T-shirts made. MAGA's going to get T-shirts made. They're going to be mugs. Everybody's going to have the hat of that mugshot. And if it's a perp walk, his hands will probably be in handcuffs, but he'll find a way to thumbs up. And also I heard that they probably, in New York State, they don't have to release the mugshot. I heard that. And he wants a perp walk, from what I understand. I don't know where I heard it. Just skimming the interwebs.
This is why gays and lesbians like cats and dogs. Just all this practicality, the downer vision. Like, can we just have our joy? We just want to celebrate. We just want a kiki over here, okay?
No.
I want to get an arrest and do a kiki. You guys can't let me have that?
What's a kiki?
Like a little party.
Ooh. Even I knew
Kiki.
that one.
Did you?
Wait, they covered that song on Glee. It was Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I only watched my scenes.
That's good.
Sebastian says the law allows police to withhold mugshots, but it does not mandate that they're kept private. So I imagine this one will leak. Okay, well, anyway, I wanted to kiki. You guys are taking me down. Sarah, do you have other political topics that are maybe more joyful or more, any
Trump-
burning questions?
Yeah, so what do you make of Trump versus DeSantis? So there's a big debate about whether or not DeSantis is more dangerous than Trump. I have very strong feelings on this question, but what do you think?
Oh, I wish I could remember what you said, but you'll tell me soon, I'm sure. I think he's a maniac. And it's DeSantis, well, they both are, but I think he's a little scarier, but I don't think DeSantis can win a general election. I think he's so unpleasant and so robotic. Remember when at the debate when the guy who was running against
Christ.
him, Chris, where he said, "Can you pledge that you won't run for president? You'll play out your term?" And it was almost like does not compute. And he went on complete pause like this. So I don't think the guy's spontaneous. I think he's got his, he's going to get a lot of money. And he's already probably getting a lot of money. But I don't think, because America has let me down before. But I don't think he's got it. I think he's just too much of a maniac.
But you think he's more dangerous than Trump? Like, you think
in the office?
Yeah.
No, I don't, Sarah.
Okay.
I don't. Let me just let my answer be. With Trump, I'm scared to death because he just is a frickin' sociopath and a malignant narcissist. But I don't know that DeSantis isn't as well. So both of them scare the F out of me.
I am one who believes that a second term of Trump would be such a catastrophic sort of event for democracy, because imagine what it says about us as a country that we have reelected somebody democratically who tried to overturn the democratic process the last time. It's horrible what it says about us. He would try to undo the sort of Western world order. And I think that in the midst of this conflict in Europe, that's about as dangerous as you can get. He's made it very clear retribution is his number one thing. The first time he kind of learned how to use the levers. And so
you
I
convinced
just
me.
Okay, great. That's all I
Won
wanted.
you over. Okay,
That's all I wanted.
I want to get your take. I want to move off old Donald. Do you have any other Donald Trump one-liners or Ron DeSantis? Anything you want to get off your chest before we start talking about drag queens? Yeah, please.
You know how you're always looking, for hope. And with DeSantis, he was a JAG. I think for the Navy is the JAG. So he was a lawyer for the Navy, and he was quoted as saying, he's a typical Republican from your era, back before it was destroyed, that he thinks we have to shore up Ukraine and NATO, and so hopefully that guy will come back, and hopefully the people who are giving him all of this money, those people they all gathered a few weekends ago and did not invite Trump, hopefully there is a consensus within them for DeSantis that he's not.
So
going
Jane
to
Lynch
be
is hoping for
maniac.
the Paul Ryan. Jane Lynch is hoping for the Paul Ryan DeSantis to come back. That he's buried deep inside there somewhere, and all
Tim,
he
I
wants
know
to do is hurt people on Medicaid. He doesn't actually want to that's something we can deal with. Just normal problem.
Wait, Tim, I know you want to move to it, but I just have to ask Jane, because you actually gave like an answer before that was you knew the legal what would happen legally with Trump. Why do you know so much about politics? I would say that you have now you've thrown out a bunch of things that I would say much higher level. Is it from all the Bulwark content you consume, or why are your takes? Why do you know so much about politics?
Well, I do.
Are you interested in politics?
Yeah, I am. Oh, gosh, yes. Especially, when Obama was president, I relaxed. I wasn't in on the specifics of what he was doing, but he's a good guy. And I did not like W, although I would take him right now over either of those other two Republicans who are probably running. I listen to Bulwark a lot. I listen to you guys. I listen to Charlie Sykes every day.
You said you did say on your Willie Geist interview that you are off Twitter. And I assume that Twitter was also a place where you're gaining a lot of this knowledge. But Yeah, I do have to say, I went to your feed. A lot of people claim to be off Twitter. So far, two of our first three guests on this show, Adam Brody also claimed to be off Twitter, and then JVL, one of the co-hosts, claims to be off Twitter. And I guess I would rank you as you and JVL, then Adam is the biggest liars about that. Because you have the most tweets, I think, out of the three.
Look what
and
I
Adam
tweet about. I
replied to
tweet
my
about
DM
dogs.
within like 8 minutes.
I
looked at the
write
feed.
about dogs.
I looked at the feed.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a
there
lot
were
of
some
feel
dogs
good.
on there, but there was some politics. There was some Tom
Yeah.
Nichols quote tweets.
Indeed.
It does seem like you're still on Twitter to me. How many
ish.
hours a day would you say you're spending on Twitter?
No more than an hour, for sure.
No more
I'm not
than
on
1
more
hour.
than an
Okay.
hour. Mm-mm.
We're going to
No,
put
I don't
a
even
timer
have
on
the
that.
app anymore. Yeah. Check the times.
You don't have the
check
app.
the
You have to
times.
go into the browser.
Yeah, I have to go
browser. So is it about Elon or is it about your personal mental health that you're
My
trying
personal
to cut
mental
back?
health. And this revelation, I think, about tribalism and how it becomes like cultism. And if you don't line up with it, like if I tweeted everything I thought, I would.
That'd be a hot feed.
I'd be canceled. You know, if I
don't know if that's
if I-
true. I want to get to canceling with you in a second,
Sure.
but before we do that, I want to talk about about some gay stuff. Since
Sure.
we're gay, everyone here. We talked a little bit about this with Dan Savage, and I'm interested in your take. Have you been surprised at the latest kind of backslide? I mean, we all have lived through kind of periods where, the gay issue was a lot more of a hot button into, kind of there was this period that I think I naively went through, thinking that kind of the arc of historic justice was bending towards fabulousness, and like I didn't really have to worry about this, and like we had this inexorable path towards all great stuff, and that feels like it's over. And I'm wondering, like, what are you feeling that, or do you feel inoculated from that in Hollywood, or like what's your sense for this like recent backslide?
I put the whole anti-gay thing in the anti-woman. Put them all into a bucket. Anti-woman stuff, the anti-choice stuff, the racism, the rise of anti-Semitism, all of that in one container. And I think it is a response to society has gone too far for some people. And when Trump came on the scene, it's their last gasp effort to bring back all of that horrible stuff and not move forward. And I do believe it's just a swing of the pendulum this way, and we're going to swing this way into a golden era. I do believe, and I don't even know that it's hope, I just know this. I think this is kind of the arc, is like we start going this way, and then we fall back just a little bit, we retrograde, and then we shoot off into the stratosphere of beauty and love and sisterhood and brotherhood. And theyhood.
How far away are we from that?
I think it's pretty close. I do. I think it's pretty. I would say a couple of years. I think this election coming up, just like the midterms surprised us. Remember that? These last midterms, we really thought it was going to be this red wave, where we were afraid of it. I forget what you guys said, but I look at astrology, and I go to a tarot card reader on a political tarot card reader, and she was right about all this. I don't go to her; I watch this feed. But anyway, I do tend to.
Can we get her?
Yeah, you should.
We should be interviewing her.
She knows more about the political situation here, and she operates out of her little bedroom in Australia. And I kind of stumbled upon her, but she's great. But I do think that I think it's like a couple of years. I think this election will surprise us the way the midterms surprised us. In a good way.
I don't know. I worry about that. I think that there is, particularly with regards to this, like the drag thing is really just kind of this cover for an attack on trans folks and gender ideology. And I do see that, maybe it's my fault for spending too much time with the gays against groomers at CPAC, but I worry about the younger generation, like finding that fissure, and having that be a real threat for a while now. But I don't know. You think that that's really just part of the broader bucket, or what's your feeling?
I think that's in the bucket too. But it's awful, and you're among those people. I guess what you have to remember, mean that you went to CPAC, but not in your life. But I think what you have to remember is it really is a relatively small amount of people. They just had a guy in the presidency who, empowered them. It told that all these deep, awful beliefs that people had about themselves and about society and how it's done them wrong has now been unleashed. And then the QAnon stuff, and they have a mystery to solve. They're like Tom Nichols says, don't expect these people to go back to their little houses in front of their big screen TVs and watch reality TV anymore. They're not going to do that. They're solving freaking mysteries. They're engaged in a way.
You can see it with these Trump DeSantis attacks. Don't you feel that way, Sarah? Like the Trumpers were bored for a little while, and now they get to go after DeSantis again, and DeSantis is getting all the stuff that we all the onslaught that we had to deal with for the last 7 years, and all the DeSantis fans are like, oh no, they're being unfair to me. They're saying that our guy might be a gay pedophile. It's like, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Dude, you tweeted yesterday exactly what I had just said out loud to my team. I was like, if the stakes weren't so high and if things weren't so potentially bleak, I would just be sitting here being like, let them fight. This is the best. These are just terrible people ripping on each other, and that's great. Except the problem is that it's actually catastrophic for our country. So,
but the people are bored. This is a good insight, right? Like the people, the core MAGA people, this is filling a hole in them. Right, and they want the rush of this, right? They're solving the mystery with QAnon. They're attacking these people. They're getting, they're trolling. You can sense it.
They're alive. They have purpose.
Let's move off. We're still going to have politics adjacent stuff, but let's go into Hollywood stuff. Unless Sarah, you have one other thing?
No, I just want to talk about lesbian stuff. It's the whole reason I'm here.
Dying
to do it.
We're going to do lesbians. We're going to do Hollywood. We're going to do cancel culture. We're putting that all in one big bowl of gumbo. And go ahead, go first, Sarah. Take it. Lesbian, Hollywood, gumbo.
Well, first of all, so just I'm very interested. What is your coming out story? Give us your origin story. Tim had in the notes that you don't have a coming out story.
Yeah, I mean, I could make one up right now. I could pull some facts together and make it a story. I didn't come out professionally. I didn't have I didn't call in
a yep, I'm gay cover moment.
Right, exactly. And also, I'm a character actor. It's a different deal. And it's the people like Melissa Etheridge and Katie Lang and Ellen DeGeneres, the people who are kind of in big jobs and kind of by themselves, solo artists.
Wait, so you weren't at a secret meeting with them at the DNC, kind of discussing the lesbian strategy? I thought that's my Aaron Sorkin fantasy, that all of you guys were all together plotting this. No?
No, didn't happen. Nope. But they were the ones who kind of took one for the team, if you will, and made it just really easy for me, But just in terms of my life, I was closeted until about 25 to the world. And I started having girlfriends around about 25, 26. And I told my parents at around 31. And I was afraid of that. I thought that I would lose them, and I didn't at all. They were great. But I think if I had told them when I was 18, it would have been a different story, because it wasn't so, it would have been so out of context. It would have been like, what? But I didn't have to deal.
But there was never an article in the, when around Best in Show. You never got asked about it by. No. Did Perez Hilton ever do anything? Nothing. There was never.
No.
But wait, is it really true that there wasn't a group of lesbians that you hung out? Didn't you hang out with Melissa Etheridge? this is my fantasy, is that, in D.C., I got to tell you, in D.C., there is a cabal of lesbians.
Right,
political
and Hillary
lesbians.
Rosen's one of them, right?
She is, although now that you say it, she's not in my cabal. I've had dinner with her one time.
Okay.
But generally speaking, it's why isn't she more in my cabal now that you?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of political lesbians that know each other, hang out, have drinks. There wasn't that group there in L.A. coming up together.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, none of my. Well, I have one friend who's a lesbian, and she's married now, but we've been best friends for the longest time, Laura. But yeah, I just have a mix of people.
Yeah, you're the most well-adjusted person I've ever listened to talk about this.
Yeah, you don't have any trauma? Can you trauma dump on us? You have no trauma from your mid-20s that you can
maybe
share?
Make something up. Yeah, no, not at all. Not professionally. And, the theater is teeming with the gays. So
Sure.
True.
Yeah.
We now have the opposite, right? The changing kind of mores around this, like this is good, right? We want gay characters, right? I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe it's a little thumb on the scale for you for the weakest link or something, right? Like we want gays around. It's like
Right.
good.
Could be.
As I failed to pitch the book as to screen type folks, like the best thing you got going for you is that you're gay. We like gay stories now. But like the inverse of that is that there are some worries about overreach. Like I guess it's just hard for those of us on the outside to grade this, right? Because you have all these bad faith people out there being like, I can't do homophobic jokes anymore or else I'm canceled, and then they're like selling out stadiums, and it's like, I don't know, you seem to be doing okay to me.
Yeah.
But what is your sense? Do you feel like there's creative stifling around some of these issues right now?
I do. I feel like we have to be very, very careful right now. And again, I think it's just it's an overreaction. Even Party Down, we did Party Down 12 years ago, and there's stuff that we did in Party Down we can't do now. Where Kyle, in fact, it's one of the story points in the first episode. In the last episode, he's blonde hair and blue eyed, just like I am, and he says, "Our struggle," and kind of or ignorantly sings this song about how being blonde-haired and blue-eyed is so hard, and that they line us up and put us on trains. And I guess I'm looking at your faces, but we could look. I'm all red now because I'm like, don't cancel me. We did it 12 years ago, and it was hilarious. And then, as my character, I go, Kyle, stop, and I whisper in his ear, and he says, "The hollow what?" The Holocaust. He doesn't know what it is.
This is just a dumb blonde joke. This is not a Holocaust joke. This is
first
a
of all,
dumb blonde joke.
I wouldn't cancel you for this, but I did when I had COVID, I watched I binge watched the first 2 seasons of Party Down, and I was struck by how many gay jokes there were. I forget the guy's name who's like mad all the time. He's in
Roman.
Roman.
Yeah.
Everything's gay. And it felt, I remember when I was watching it, I went and checked the date, and I was like, 2009, that doesn't feel so long ago.
Yeah.
But I guess it's long enough ago that we don't
couldn't
really
do
talk,
it now.
Yeah,
and
or
that
you
was
just
a
don't hear people talk like
characteristic.
that.
That was Martin Starr, by the way, but that's a characteristic of Martin and Kyle's relationship. They're like 10-year-old brothers. They would they punch each other in their punch. You say, "You're so gay." I mean, they were like little kids, and that's what was funny about it.
And the thing is, I still think it's funny. I was not offended. It felt like slightly anachronistic already. When Tim was doing the notes, he was including all kinds of things that you've done. Didn't mention your absolute best performance though, which is obviously in the L Word.
The Frosted Flakes commercial?
No.
Yeah.
The L Word where she played Joyce Wishnia, the like tough lawyer.
Wait, you were in the L Word?
Yeah, I wore men's suits.
Oh,
I wore robes.
really?
I smoked a pipe. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you
I was a
not
lawyer.
see the part where in the notes I said in all caps, Sarah gets a lot of license here. Tim cannot bring up the L Word before I do.
Just
I
kidding.
can't talk about that.
when me and Sarah met, she would have L Word parties. This was where the lesbians would get together, and I would come over and like this, and this was back when I was still a young troublemaker, and I would like smoke cigarettes and make fun of the lesbians, not even pay attention to the show. It's hard for me to get me to care about the interior lives of all these women. I needed a few penises in the show.
Yeah,
so
none, and there were none. They started
none. It was
out
the
with
best.
one guy.
So I literally don't
and
even
that was
remember
it.
you being in it.
Yep.
Until she put it down, I was like, do you want to talk about
I
this
was a
because
guest
it's like
star.
a lesbian thing to talk about, or was she actually in the show?
But you guested with Sybil Shepherd. Like she would right? You guys got to make out at one point.
Yes.
You were just very formative for me in a lot of ways. Like I get that you didn't come out in this way, but like I watched you in that show, which was extremely important to me. Like and analyzing it as a television show is not a way that it's not worth it to me to do it that way because the show is kind of stupid, but it was the first thing that I had that wasn't like fried green tomatoes or some other thing where I'm trying to like interpret the lesbian content or like it just was. They built a world of lesbians and they let you live in it.
Yeah.
And it reflected your world not very imperfectly back to you in ways where you have a group of friends and like that's what was happening. when that show began airing, I was like a senior in college, and for that to have that was just such a gift to me. And so, Tim may never have seen it, but Joyce Wishnia, you as like the high-powered lawyer, because here's the thing, I like yesterday went down the rabbit hole watching some of your old scenes on it. And what you were talking about it in a context of back then, there was no legal protection for gay families, right? Like the lawyer that you were was very relevant to what we were about to experience of having to set up legal structures because we didn't have marriage yet.
Right.
There's something that I think about your career that's so cool, which is just, I guess there's a rather kind of, you tell me, but quasi-late developing, like ascendance. And as I was trying to figure out what was the origin for that, it was the Christopher Guest, I guess, did these commercials, right?
Right.
Before he did all of his various mockumentaries, like Best in Show.
Well, he had done Waiting for Guffman. When
he had done Waiting for Guffman.
So that had been done, and that would have been about 97. And then he directs commercials. I don't think he does it anymore, but almost any commercial you saw on television where you had an actual genuine laugh, he directed it.
Okay, we have one of them, I think. Sebastian, do we have it?
Hi, I'm Steve. This is Kathy.
Oh, and we just love Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
We come here every day, just hoping he'll make an appearance of some sort. Excuse me. Could you send out Tony when you see him?
Tony who?
Oh, come on. Frosted Flakes are about so much more than just great taste. I mean, there's that, and then there's Tony, Then there's the frosting, and then there's Tony.
All right, take a picture.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
He looks different.
I think that's a woman.
You're right.
We don't get shit like that these days, okay? You say we can't do it's not the woke's fault. It's our creative failures.
Yep.
Now that is some good stuff. So it's just the deadpan. Christopher Guest was like, yes, I need that woman. I need her.
I think it's it's the it's more of the behaving and not pushing for the joke. Like I didn't have much to say in that at all, but in my meeting with him, we did more improvisation, and he doesn't care about jokes. He cares about human behavior and the contradictions within that make people funny, like Waiting for Guffman, this small town group of actors who on some level think that they might go to Broadway with this little show, with this little review of theirs. It's that kind of the ambition and the Best in Show, the ambition of these dog people. It's like a microcosm of the bigger world, and it's got its own hierarchy, and it's got a lot of backbiting and people creating alliances, and all about an obsession with your dog. So he loves that. So it's not so much about jokes as it is about people behaving in either like purely innocent ways or in self-aggrandizing ways, something that's honest and pure about human behavior. That's what he likes, and that's what I like too. That's one of my favorite things in the world, and that's one of my favorite things when I'm watching people like on the news, trying to pull something off about who they think they are, and it's kind of endearing, and sometimes it's like with Trump, you're just like, oh my God, what's going on in his brain to think that that's working? And it obviously does work.
You just got in Sarah's head right there. Did you notice Sarah took a step back? She's like, oh man, I wonder what people think I'm trying to look like. We don't, none of us, we don't know what we're doing.
We're
just out there on TV just gabbing,
Right.
Clue.
And you should, and as well you should. I wouldn't be thinking about that, but it is, that's, I think you meet on a particular level, and the stuff that makes him laugh turns out makes me laugh too. And I think that, like he said, he can tell within like 3 seconds if someone can do this, because it's like kind of a wavelength thing. And he doesn't give anything, like in a conversation. I don't know if you've ever seen him like interview. Oh, he doesn't even interview, because this is how he interviews. He doesn't give anything, but so you end up overgiving, and so when you overgive, you end up revealing so much about yourself. So it's always really fun to see somebody try to like small talk with him, and they end up everybody walks away kind of in shock, like, what just happened? What just happened? Because he doesn't give anything.
Can we talk about Glee for just a second? Because that was also formative for me. And Tim is like bad about the musical stuff. He's just not as into it as he like.
I'm going to take your gay card.
Please take it. I love Glee though, but I'm going to tell you why in a second. Before we get to the Glee substance of it, it had to be like this moment for you. Like, was that weird? For you to go to like immediately be so recognizable, and obviously you've been in the business for all you're in commercials, you're in Best in Show. There's these cult followings, right? So it's not as if you didn't have any sort of, familiarity with it. But I just the scale had to be. You're a meme now. Have you spent any time with?
Yes, I've seen them
with all the various memes. I mean,
yeah.
Like it had to. How did you? Like, did you know that immediately? Did you feel that it was going to happen? Like when you embodied the character, like when the first show first came on, like what was that experience like?
When we were shooting the pilot, we did Don't Stop Believing, and it was the kids did it themselves. No one directed them. I mean, within the context of the show, and they wore like red T-shirts. And that was their costumes, and they sang "Don't Stop Believing." And as Sue Sylvester, I'm up in a box at one of the above them, and they're rehearsing on the theater, and I'm watching this, and you can see in my eyes, it's like it's on. I'm going to destroy that Glee Club. But I was so moved by how pure it was, and how the relationships were being formed while they were performing this song that was so much about yearning, and the Glee Club was probably going to be destroyed, and they were like doing their best to hold on to it and performing their hearts out. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be a hit. This has got it. And it was a big hit. But in terms of, for me, like the fame thing, I was 50 years old, so it didn't to say it was just another job would be an understatement, but it was fun. It was, we definitely were, occupying a rarefied air.
Did people ask you to yell at them at the grocery store though? I mean,
every once in a while. Mostly, every once in a while, someone would want me to yell at them, and I couldn't do that because Ian wasn't with me giving me the lines. But
those
lines. I know, and they went on, didn't they? Monologues.
Can I get you a diaper for that butt chin? Like, there are things that you said on that show that I still say to people, and get the reference or not, because they're so good.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
I have one heavy question about the character, kind of heavy, I guess, but like comedy, I'm interested. I assume if you're anything like me, comedy, like being funny is a crutch, right? It's like a avoidance tool at times, right? Like that's not that's I think a pretty common observation. And so in a show like Glee, I think the thing that made it so powerful is like that it wasn't like it's cloying, right? It's so earnest, right? Glee is,
right.
And that is that is what's lovable about it, right? And so like, how did you think about that? Like contrast, right? That's what I was wondering. Like being an actor, going in with your character Sue, of being like, okay, I'm a little bit of comedic relief here, right, in this very earnest thing, but I don't want to undermine it, right? I don't want to like they had these deep messages and like this emotional connection. Did you think about that at all?
Well, not heavily. I mean, it was kind of clear to me that if my character was there to keep the show from becoming cloying and becoming too saccharine, she would say what perhaps the audience is thinking, like how sentimental they were, and it's not horrible to loving musical theater doesn't make you gay; it just makes you awful, that kind of a thing. That was like so mean.
Concur.
And so, yes, so I wasn't playing Hannibal Lecter. Okay, so I was playing someone who was kind of narrating her own superhero movie as she moved through the halls. And sometimes they did give me a voiceover to look at her move like a gazelle. Sometimes I would have like a National Geographic inner monologue going. So I think that's what kept it from being too mean, is that she said the most outrageous things. She said, like, a teacher once said to me, "Oh my God, you say the things that I wish I could say to kids that I would be fired for."
The fact is, you've had, since Glee, like, you have gone on to do, like, every time you pop up, it's still, like, amazing. Like, and it's always the most fun part of any show. Like, Any Murders in the Building, which is, like, a super fun show. When you popped up, it was, like, the greatest thing just to have you there. And it was, like, it's always, like, what an absurd It's an absurd premise, and it was another character where like you're pretty vicious, which I don't know why that's when you're at your best. Because one of the things I noticed about you as I was going through some things is how kind you are about everybody you work with. Like I was looking up Jennifer Coolidge because I remembered you guys were the lesbian couple, and I was like, you know, she's having this awesome thing right now, and you're all over the place saying great things about her and being so excited for her. I also noted that she was your fictional roommate on Party Down, even though you guys didn't have scenes together. She like comes in the show like when you leave because you're getting famous on Glee, you know. So you're just a nice person, it seems like. Are you a nice person?
I am a nice
true?
person, and then it takes one to know one.
Do you have any? Okay, we need to get to our rapid fire questions, but the Jennifer Coolidge thing you brought up. So are you like? Do you watch The White Lotus? Like, do you have any?
No.
Do you have any Jennifer Coolidge memories for us? So for those of us that
do. I do.
Give us a favorite one.
Sure. So, you know, we were doing Best in Show, and for us it was the first time doing a Christopher Guest movie, and we were both, you know, really nervous. And we did it in Vancouver, and we were staying at this hotel. We were all at the same hotel, but we didn't work every day. So we became pretty good friends, and we would walk through Stanley Park every day. And for some reason, this only happens to Jennifer Coolidge, on her television, she got the porno channel for free. And so she said, I just have it on all the time. And so as we're walking, she's talking about the different scenarios of these sexual scenes, these porno scenes. And like if we walk by a bench, she goes, so she's got one leg on the bench. And she's like narrating, and we're just falling apart. It was just so much fun. And also, if you're going to hang out with Jennifer Coolidge, you also kind of have to be her caretaker. She'll leave her wallet. She didn't bring a coat. She didn't bring a coat to Vancouver.
I identify strongly with this.
So this is unreal. So whereas you are not really Sue Sylvester, Jennifer Coolidge is kind of Jennifer Coolidge's character.
She is kind of, yeah. And the thing is that she always has her brow furrowed. I remember she's really smart. She does that a lot. She goes, so, and she's putting these concepts together and coming up with a conclusion. It mostly had to do with why people do what they do. She was very interested in people's psychology, and she'd literally just go like that, trying to figure out what that was. I love her. She was one of the most fun companions a person could ask for.
All right, we're moving into rapid fire. We've kept you too long. I'm so grateful. This has been so wonderful. When I first told Sarah that you were a Bulwark watcher, just look at Sarah beam right now. I mean, Sarah couldn't have been happier. It was hard for me. I wanted to keep this from her, to be honest, to just like a little bit of, you know, not punishment's the wrong word, maybe leverage. But I also am grateful and adore you. But this has been so happy we've been able to do it. As is our want, we're going to ask you some awkward rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay. I am. Go.
You said Sue channeled your own internal seething rage at times. You channeled your own internal seething rage at Sue. Who are you enraged at right now? And give us like 30 seconds of hate, just like of somebody that you're enraged
Kevin
at
McCarthy.
inside.
Kevin McCarthy.
Great choice.
Yep. Mike Pence. Oh, the cowardice. Jim Jordan. Marjorie Taylor Greene, do I keep going on? Grandma Boebert at 36 years old. Yeah, it's just...
nothing wrong with having babies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Guns. I'm a natalist over here, but having the babies carry the guns, that counters my natalism. The guns and the babies. Okay, that's pretty good. Number 2, I want you to rank the top 4 Never Trump pundits in order from 1 to 4. Rank us.
Okay. Tim and Sarah.
Number 1. Sarah's number 1.
JVL.
Okay. Who's number 4? This is why I made it the top 4. I didn't want
you made it top 4? Okay.
Yeah. You need a 4th.
Okay. Rick Wilson.
Good pick.
Okay. Tom Nichols left off
Tom
the list.
Nichols left off.
Noted.
Thanks,
I don't think
God.
of noted.
No, well, I don't think of him as... He's not like a political guy. He used to work at the Naval College, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we're not going to count him.
If
Tom Nichols was,
where
would you put
in a
Tom
category
Nichols?
Of his own.
Oh wow, okay, he would be number 1 above us. So man, that knocks Rick Wilson off.
I
Tough
agree
break,
with
Rick.
him so hard. He said he'll like say something, and I'll go,
Have you flown to Rhode Island to have like clams with him or anything? I mean, it feels like
Every once in a while we DM.
Yeah, this is a little much.
DM
I mean,
more
I
with
thought
me.
I was when Adam Brody's on. I'm talking about Seth Cohen getting all verklempt over here, but you and Tom Nichols makes me think maybe gender is sexuality is a spectrum. I don't know.
Yeah, we got a little something going on, and apparently it's fine with his wife.
Is it the like curmudgeon thing that he has
Yes.
going on? Like the kids get off my lawn and
Exactly, but he's exactly my age too. But yeah, that's what I said when we were going back and forth in the beginning. I said, curmudgeon. That's what you are, curmudgeon. I love it.
I want your favorite and least favorite Glee song and dance routine. Okay. Something that you think back on that you were involved in. Something that really you were like, man.
That I was involved in.
Yeah, I nailed this one. And one that was like, ugh.
Oh, there was one, oh God. Sing it loud, sing to the something. We're all wearing plaid, and I wore a plaid. None of us knew the words, and the camera would be on us.
Sing it to the right.
Yeah, that's it.
To the
Yeah. And none of us knew the words, so we were all going. And so when the camera came on you, we would go. So no one could see our mouths move. Oh, that was the worst.
Do you have a favorite?
Favorite? The Madonna Vogue.
Oh,
So-
yeah,
Strike
you
a
were
pose.
so good in that one.
Thank you. I worked so hard on that, Sarah. I can't tell you how hard I had to work on that because I'm not a dancer, and I had to do these. It looked like I was doing a hoedown, but they kind of refined it for me. But it was great. It was so.
We play
did
it for
that.
Toulouse. We're getting Toulouse
Oh,
to learn the
really?
Vogue through your version. Yeah, it's
Oh well, there you
manageable.
go. Yeah. That's
Okay.
Sing by my what? Okay, what? Do you no? Make a comment.
I mean, I have like a million of these, but like
Do
the
it.
episode that you did with Carol Burnett, but
Yeah.
where she plays your mom and you marry yourself.
Marry myself.
It was saved by the fact that it was you and Carol Burnett like on the screen, but like that was a dumb premise.
That was.
It was.
But it was kind of funny how I gave vows to myself, and I actually
You did.
moved back and forth.
It was
Didn't you guys
by-
sing "Why Oh Why Did I Ever Leave Ohio"
Leave Ohio,
together?
we did.
Oh, so good,
And it's so perfect, wasn't it?
so perfect.
Sarah, do you have any favorites you want to share before we get through the rapid fire with Jane? Do you have any other memories you'd like to share with the group?
I'm sorry, but I do. Which is just, and this is, so another person you've been very charitable about is Leah Michele. I have no idea like what the deal is, but I will tell you that Leah Michele, that first season, when she sings "Don't Rain on My Parade" and she comes out for the finale, and I understand that you thought that the young woman who was before Leah Michele in Funny Girl was very good, but I used to play that for myself to like make myself happy. Like my happy
you?
place was when she opens the curtain and she said, I think Leah Michele's version of "Don't Rain on My Parade" that she does in Glee is better than anyone else.
Barbara? Yeah.
Better than Barbara. I went and
Yeah.
rewatched Barbara just to be sure that I thought it, but I do.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a
Wow.
powerhouse. She's really
That's a
got
lot
it
of talent.
going on. Yeah,
It's a lot of
does.
talent.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Frosted Flakes Jane in her response to that. She's like, interesting take. Okay, interesting take.
No,
I'm not going to
I-
undermine Leah. It was really good. I mean, not Barbara level,
I
but
didn't-
pretty good.
Right. I didn't see that one, but I saw her do it at an event. But yeah, I love the movie, but I know but Leah's a real powerhouse.
Your worst one was the song was "Sing" by My Chemical Romance, which is an
Right,
awful
right.
band. So that's a bad pick. Thank you, Sebastian, for the fact check. Okay, this is I think our final one. Unless I have a final one. Unless Sarah, do you have one more rapid fire you want to give off before we let her go?
No, go ahead.
No, my
Go
last
ahead.
one is Sue Sylvester. Who is she voting for in the 2024 Republican primary? Do you think? Who is Sue Vestal?
Well-
I want you to channel her mindset here. Do you think she's
Yeah, let me channel
with
her
Trump?
mindset. I don't think she wants the world to fall apart. She's not going to vote for Trump. She's not going to vote for DeSantis. She sees right through him, and she could crush him with eye contact.
Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo. maybe.
No. Well, this is, I created her, so I get to say, if it's Biden, she'll vote for whoever the Democrat is.
The
You guys think-
redemption
Wow.
story of Sue Sylvester. She's a never Trumper. Turns
Yeah,
out
she's-
Sue
she's
Sylvester
totally a
She
never
is a
Trumper.
Romney Biden voter. If she could be in one of Sarah's focus groups, a classic
think-
bulwark.
Do you think that Biden should be? I know you want to let me go, but do you think
No, that's
Biden
good. You can
should
ask us
be-
questions. It's over. You can ask us as many as you want now. We've got nothing but time for you.
Okay. Do you think that Biden should be the nominee, and do you think he will be?
No and yes.
You think he? What did I ask?
I think he will be the nominee. I don't think that they can. And I think it's a real roll of the dice, and it is not because I don't have infinite respect for the role that Biden has played in saving our democracy, and I think that he was the only one who could have defeated Trump in that cycle.
I agree.
But I think 82. Kamala is a real liability right now with voters, and I think the stakes are really, really high. And I wish that, but the time to tap out, it's getting like we're getting past it.
Do you have any more rapid fire for us, Jane? Like we're ready. I'm ready. We're in the hot seat.
Well, I go into my Sorkin-esque fantasies, and I see for some reason Buttigieg gets to run. I like him. I think he is the next generation, and he's a brilliant guy, and I would love to see him as president of the United States, and not just because he's gay, because he's.
He's a good one. It doesn't hurt. Gretsch, they've got a great, this is the thing. There was all this, the Democrats have no bench. It's like now they have a great bench, but it would be very
28.
Whitmer?
Yeah, 28. Yeah, Gretchen and
Warnock
and
Josh
Wes
Shapiro.
Moore and Josh Shapiro's doing a great job. Jared Polis,
really
my
good.
governor, probably doesn't have the charisma, but I have a lot of governors who are doing a really good job in big states. They have some
that are
governors
swing
who are
states
doing
that are tough
not,
states.
Yeah, they have some governors who are doing not as good of a job in big states. But unfortunately, I think that's just where we're stuck. So, such is
one
life.
more question.
Okay,
What about the GOP? Its future, immediate future, and then maybe some speculation.
Okay, I'm going to go first because I'm going to be dark, and maybe Sarah can give us just a little silver of hope. No, not you don't even have a sliver anymore, Sarah. Okay, we'll see.
Do my best.
I just think that I think that the pivot globally, every conservative party globally is like a nationalist culture conservative party. Us and the Brits were like an outlier, right? Like this sort of classically liberal, free market and free people right-wing party. Like everywhere else in the world, it's Le Pen, it's Modi, it's Bolsonaro, right? Like it's Trump's everywhere. And so I just don't know why we're so special and different from that. And I think that Reagan and a lot of things that happened in the Cold War and certain things about the American libertarian spirit like helped like our conservative party be a little bit more small L liberal, but I just think that it's past. And if you go look at the types of Republicans, types of people, if you're a young person right now that's like, I want to be a Republican, you're not a classically liberal, live and let live, free markets and free people person. You're like a fuck the libs person, right? That's what's drawing you to the party. And so that's self-selecting. And the people that liked that are self-selecting out. Those of us, the compassionate conservative types, are self-selecting out. We interviewed Colin Allred on the show last week, and they like Colin Allred's like, I got a lot of people who had W stickers on their SUVs supporting me now. And so I just think we have this natural churn that makes the party moving more towards this kind of nationalist party semi-permanently.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, the main. So I agree with all of that. And listening to the voters has been, that has oriented me into where people are. I can't engage in Sorkin-esque fantasies because I listen to voters all the time and I hear what they want, and what they want is nothing like the old GOP. And they say it. They'll say, I'm not going back. They talk about things in what I call BT language, which is like their candidates. Nikki Haley is a before Trump candidate, the before times, right? So they think she's establishment. They may think she's perfectly nice, but she should not be the leader of the party. They want America first politicians. They want people who are going to own the libs. That's what they want, which is why my optimism, though, is that I do think we have been being sort of broadly successful in building a pro-democracy coalition that is a majority coalition. And to your point about the midterms, and I think that the only way the thing about the Republican Party is through sustained electoral defeats, it will create a new incentive structure. And I don't know how to square that. Like, I don't know what happens when they keep losing.
Right.
If they keep losing, like, don't they have to do something different? And that's my only way out. The only way I see, and the reason I do the work that I do is trying to defeat this party, because I think you have to change those incentives. You have to make sure they keep losing. Thanks so much,
All right.
Jane.
You bet. This has been a joy.